All right, live and direct, Matt, the mortgage guy. Thanks everybody for joining again. Monday night Q&A, live Q&A. I love these things because I feel like they're just super efficient, answering folks' questions live. And it's not just, a comment on a YouTube video or email where you send a question, I reply with an answer. It may or may not have answered it. You might reply back, and over the course of 10 days, you might have forgot the question you even asked, versus back and forth, real life scenarios that not only are you helping yourself by getting your question answered, but there's plenty of people out there who, whether live on the live or on the replay, get to learn from that. And so I encourage past clients, current clients, future clients, real estate agents, junior loan officers, anybody who wants to learn more about mortgage. This is the best place, in my opinion, to do that, for me included. I get to see and hear stuff that I haven't heard yet. I get to think about it. I get to respond to it, give my opinion. Last week in the comments, I had great advice, great input from folks other than myself, things I hadn't thought of. And so I'm learning on these things as well, which is super cool. Let me make sure this thing's all dialed in. If you could, let me know how the volume is. Somebody gave me some tips and tricks for this Yeti mic. Let me know if I'm screaming too loud, the volume's too loud, if I need to quiet it down, or if it's fine. If you can hear me just fine, then I'll continue to talk at this level and we'll jump into it. Every week is different. Every week is essentially a freestyle where I take whatever I get whenever it comes and we just chat about whatever folks are curious about. On the lending side, we can talk real estate, we can talk investing, whatever is going to serve folks. This is what I do this for. It's pretty much a passion project. I'm not doing this because I need more business. I'm not doing this because I like to hear myself speak. I'm doing it because I get a lot of positive feedback. Just like when I was making educational stuff on YouTube and videos, people kept saying, "Oh, this helps so much," and people outside of California that I'm not even licensed to serve, giving me great feedback of how much they learned, how much it helped them. That is something that I really, truly enjoy. And so when I started doing this live Q&A, all the positive feedback about how much people are enjoying it and how much they learned is the reason I keep doing it. So let's jump into it. I probably will mispronounce this, Ludi, but I know offline you had sent me a message, and thanks for joining. You were asking a question as somebody who's lives and works in Canada, trying to buy in the US. So yeah, go ahead and send the question over, Ludi. Let me know how to pronounce your name if you can do it phonetically. If I'm butchering it, then I'll try to fix that. But yeah, we'll jump into as a foreigner, if you're looking to invest in US real estate, some tips and tricks and advice. Because like you said, in Canada, some of it's similar to the US as far as lending guidelines go, but different still, right? Volume is on point. Sweet. Good to know. If at ever and any time it's off, I want the feedback, right? The thing that I hate is, like, I've put out videos in the past where volume is terrible, the audio is terrible, and no matter how good the content, if it's scratchy, and there was videos I did where I had the mic too close, it's terrible. It's hard to listen to. So if this is going to serve and help people in the future, it's got to be something that's not hard to listen to. About this far from the mic. There we go. All right. I just got to 640 mortgage score. Is that enough for a conventional loan? It's enough. You want to look at conventional and FHA side by side, depending on how much you're putting down. If you're putting down 20% and you've got a 640, conventional all day long. If you're looking at 3.5% down FHA versus 3% conventional, because 3% is all you have, the mortgage insurance on conventional is going to be astronomical and the rate is going to be not very good. So any good lender is going to be able to go side by side. And if you came to me and said, I'm putting 10, 15, 20% down, I'd show you those side by side. And really off the top of my head, I couldn't even tell you which one's going to be better at 10% down. Other things are going to come into play. Like, how long are you going to stay in this house? And things like that. Because with FHA, you've got not only the monthly mortgage insurance, no matter how much you put down, you're going to pay 0.85%. But you've also got the upfront mortgage insurance. So you have a $500,000 FHA loan. The upfront factor is 1.75%. I haven't had enough coffee today to be able to just go off the dome. This should be an easy calc for me. So when I'm doing this on the calculator, it's been a long one. $8,750. If you tell me you're moving in 2 years, we're trying to get you in a conventional. We're not trying to pay $8,700 up front in the upfront mortgage insurance premium just to move, right? Because that wouldn't be wise. So yeah, I'd stick them side by side. My gut tells me that if you have a low down payment, FHA is still going to serve you better, especially if you plan on staying in the house for a long time. Because at that score, you're going to be 3.25 to 3.5 probably conventional on interest rate, and your mortgage insurance will be higher if you put 3 and 5% down. Fairly certain 5% it might be close versus FHA, and then you're going to have probably 2.5% 30-year fixed on an FHA with that score. And if it's 3% versus 3.5 and you're paying lower interest rate and lower mortgage insurance, FHA is going to look super sexy next to conventional. So figure out what you want to see side by side, whoever you're working with, let them know you want to see it, and they'll guide you well. Where did that go? This I'll pop on the screen every once in a while. If you're outside of California, you want to be connected with a great mortgage broker. I set this up for the YouTube community. Greatmortgagebroker.com, 6 simple questions: name, email, phone number, what you're looking to do, and what state you're in. And it will literally link you to somebody who's in my trusted network to connect with you, give you good advice, help you if that's the goal, to get a loan. They'll set you up. So good luck to you. Hey, Evan, let's go. Thanks for joining. Tim Stone, I made an offer and the seller has 7 offers. How do I get the home? How will he pick? This is a great question, Tim. And this is something that right now in this current environment, no matter where you're at, somebody told me that New York real estate's cold and that everything else in the whole country is hot. So chances are in 95% of markets like the one that I currently live in and do a good amount of business in, if the market's hot, the seller's got a bunch of stuff to pick from. And here's where having a really good real estate agent is super, super valuable. Because here's what I'll tell you, Tim. If you've got a good agent, here's what your agent did before they even submitted the offer. There was notes in the listing system where they find the listings, where local realtors, send you a listing. This house is on the market, and those notes might say, seller needs a 30-day rent back, seller looking to close quick, seller looking for this. Sometimes, not always, notes are in the system, so that gives you some insight. Then your agent needs to pick up the phone and call, say, hi, Josie Sue. I'm calling on 123 Main Street. I've got a client who's thinking about writing an offer tonight, really loves the house. We went through it on Sunday. What can you tell me about what is important to your seller when we write our offer? They're going to tell you, my seller needs 30 days rent back because whatever. My seller really wants to get this closed quick and have it done quick because they've already got a new build in Idaho that's going to be done June 15th. They want this to be closed. They want the money in their bank. They're going to rent back, ideally for free. You're going to offer that rent back as a buyer so they can stay there after you close the loan for up to 30 days until they rent that U-Haul and go off to Boise, Idaho. Also, they need, X number of funds on that next home. So I can tell you that we're listed at 480. We've already seen offers with a 5 in front of it. And so, you're going to have to come in pretty strong because money is an important factor. And really, in a lot of offers, whether you like it or not, as a buyer, you can't expect someone to look at 7 offers and go, well, they look like nice people. And this offer is really well written at 490. I'm going to take that over this that's written at 530, or I'm a net 40,000 more. So, price, terms can be things that are guaranteeing them you're going to get to the finish line. Like waiving my appraisal contingency. No matter what it appraises at, I'm going to pay you 530. Waiving the loan contingency at times. And I'm not saying that I'm condoning, advising any of that. That's what it's taking in the most competitive markets, waiving those contingencies. As a buyer, you just have to understand what that means. My lender has got to tell me, yeah, you're pre-approved. This loan's going to get done. Don't quit your job. Don't blow your money in Vegas. Don't have anything change with your credit profile, and you're good. I can get you to the finish line, Tim. But then when you're putting a $5,000 deposit down and you waive your loan contingency, you waive your appraisal contingency. The contingency means if something goes sideways with those things, you can back out and get your $5,000 earnest money deposit back. You might only be left with an inspection contingency. And this realtor's telling your realtor, we want that lifted within 8 days. Because within 8 days, your earnest money is at risk now. You're more likely to close on that loan. You got some skin in the game, right? And I've seen some crazy stuff. This market's a wild one. So people are waiving all the contingencies. Sometimes that earnest money is just in play right away. You know, they call it going hard or something like that. The earnest money goes hard, meaning you can't request it back. If you accept my offer, this $10,000 deposit is yours if I don't close. That's how certain I am. And that's the type of stuff that gives the seller some peace of mind because they want someone who's serious and is going to close. It's tough. And from a buyer's perspective, I realize it can sound ludicrous, but those are the offers that are getting accepted. And that's the thing. Things are still selling. People are still buying. I'm getting buyers in contract every single day, but they're writing strong offers. And like some of the conversations I had today with listing agents where I call and I try to give them the warm and fuzzies. I got a full file, great client, 780 credit, money in the bank, W-2 income. This is going to be a walk in the park. No matter how warm and fuzzy it is, you know, there's great offers alongside that. So great offer doesn't even guarantee you the house, right? Great offer, 50,000 above ask, removing contingencies. There might be some 80,000 above. So crazy market. Hopefully that helps. But you know, the seller's going to pick like you would. Imagine you're on the sell side, Tim, and you're selling your house and buying something for it. What's important to you? Do you want to close it quickly? Do you want to maybe have it be a 45-day close? Are you looking for the most money? Most people are. And things like that, right? So, Ludi. I think I got it right. Well, I forgot how I pronounced it. Ludi, did I do it? It seems my message is too long and not sure you received it. I got it on WhatsApp. I'm surprised I even have notifications on WhatsApp. I didn't even think. I probably haven't got a message on there in forever. You're thinking about a first lien mortgage, a HELOC, or cash out refi. It's funny because that coincides with this question. What are your thoughts on a first lien HELOC loan? You know what, Ludi? If you could send that big old long message, it just came through. If you could send it through here, just so I have it on the screen and I'm not looking on my phone and everybody can kind of see what we're working with, that'd be helpful for everybody because you're right, it's long. I'll answer this one first. What are your thoughts on first lien HELOC loan? For anybody who doesn't know, first lien means that nobody else is claiming rights to this property, meaning if you get this home equity line of credit, they're in first position. There's no mortgage, and you're going to get a home equity line and put it in first position, first lien HELOC loan. Thoughts on it? I guess it depends on what the money is going to be used for in this circumstance. Because I get this question all the time. People are like, "Hey, I want to, pull $200,000 in equity out of my house. It's free and clear. It's worth $500,000. What are you going to do with it? Are you going to put it in a swimming pool and then take a year and a half of vacation and spend $120,000 on the backyard and then $80,000 gallivanting the world?" That might be something that. I don't know, maybe for some people that's a great idea, but usually when you're pulling money and promising to pay future dollars for that, I would say it's best when it's invested in something that's going to give you a return, i.e. take 200 from here because I know that if I put 200 down on this triplex, this thing's going to spit off $2,500 a month. This $2,500 a month that I'm getting in rental income from this triplex is going to not only pay my payment, but it's going to pay the monthly dues for the high school that my child is going to. Something like that. I don't know. That's personal opinion. So again, just some guy on YouTube, happens to be a mortgage broker. NMLS number 1088993. This is not professional advice. This is not legal advice. This is just some dude. Troy Richardson, good to see you, man. I know I've seen that name on some comments on the channel, so appreciate you supporting, watching, and joining us here live. If the house appraises a lot lower, can you negotiate with the seller? So this all depends on how the contract is written. And generally speaking, if you're going to put in an offer where the appraisal has a chance of coming in lower, if either agent knows what they're doing, they're going to have that something to do with the appraisal on an addendum or in the original contract that says, if this appraises $50,000 lower, Troy's willing to pay up to $20,000 above the appraised value. I don't see very many contracts nowadays where they list at $499, someone offers $580 and nothing said about the appraisal. Realtors that are in the game and they're dealing with this stuff right now realize that there's a chance this thing might appraise at $540. What's going to happen then? Rather than leave it to chance. And the simple answer to your question is, if there's nothing in the contract, yes, there's a way to negotiate with the seller. Because then you're like, okay, we were in contract at $580, it appraised at $540. What are we going to do? And rewind 2 years ago, that happens, and there's nothing in the contract about it. It opens up negotiations. Hey, we're willing to come up and pay $20,000 above what it appraised at, $540, $560, but meet us in the middle and let's land there. 2021, the conversation is more like, before you submit that offer, tell us what you're willing to do if it appraises light. Are you willing to pay $20,000 above the appraised value, $30,000, $40,000? Or like I mentioned earlier, a lot of people just write, no matter what it appraises at, I'm paying you $580. And that's the type of warm and fuzzy that the seller goes, yeah, accept. That's an offer I accept. So the short answer to your question is yes, there's a way to negotiate. But the longer answer, like I talked about, is you are going to likely have something like that in the contract. If your agent can submit an offer that gets accepted that doesn't have something to do with the appraisal, then the list side is probably fairly green, because they're going to want something in there to protect their sellers in case it appraises light more often than not. Oh, here we go. Crystal ball predictions on mortgage rates. I'm trying to think of something funny and clever to say. It's just not coming. I think that I stick with what I was thinking about earlier in the year, where we're pretty flat. I thought we would be trending up by now. So it shows you that my crystal ball is not really firing on all cylinders. I think that the Fed, who's buying all these mortgage-backed securities and keeping mortgage rates low, and they talk about, we're going to keep, the Fed funds rate at 0, and we're going to keep buying mortgage-backed securities. We're not going to let rates rise for 2 more years, 3 more years. I think they're bluffing. I really do. I don't know. I might be wrong, but I would not be surprised if, the 30-year fix, which is in the high 2s again, it came back down. If that's at 3.5 by the end of the year, I wouldn't be surprised. If it's still at 3, I wouldn't be surprised either. I definitely don't see it being 4.5%. So sub 4%, I feel like is like a 90% probability. Sub 3.5% is still like 50, 60% probability. Sticking right at 3 and holding there till the end of the year, I'll give it a 1 in 4 shot, 25%. Final answer. Hopefully that helped. Again, somebody making random guesses is probably going to do as good as the guy who's watching the market and, knows too much for his own good. You are welcome, Evan. Thanks for joining. Is a fridge stove necessary for the appraisal? Conventional loan. My agent said it was needed for the appraisal. I don't know about a fridge. They test the appliances when they go through and do an appraisal. I don't think it's necessary though. I mean, I'll get back to you. I don't want to guess. I don't want to guess and lead anyone astray. Conventional loans. fridge, stove. I'm saying no, not necessary. Asterisks. Gonna check. I was talking to my processor today, and I just reminded my processor that the more stuff that comes in and the more mortgage and all that comes in, I gotta let some data seep out, some old stuff seep out. So if I haven't run across it in the last 12 months, it's done, seeped out. But it'll come back in. Fridge, stove. All right, I got notes. Somewhere, somehow, I'm gonna answer that. Yeah. Hey there, Miss Taylor. I'm a second-time home buyer in escrow, 5/11 close. Seller has to replace septic. What's involved in that process? Possible extension needed. Definite extension needed because we're a week away from you closing, and we deal with that with some of the stuff that's more rural in Northern California with replacing the septic. I don't know all that's involved. I know that on the deals that I've done, it's not something that happens super quick. And so my thought is that you're going to extend and maybe even extend like a month. Hopefully that's not scary, and hopefully I'm not exaggerating the timeline, but I'm tapping the memory bank where we had somebody replace septic, and I just remember an extension that was not a short one. And depending on how quick somebody could come out, whoever's in that line of work, maybe they come out this weekend and they bang it out and it's ready. But once it is done, if it's a requirement of the loan, which I'm guessing it is, you're going to have somebody come out and do a reinspection. Like it got called out on the appraisal. Your underwriter is like, hey, this has got to be fixed. Then the appraiser comes out, does a reinspect, says, yep, septic's all good, tested, good to go. And then get clear and close it. So, I mean, maybe you only need a week extension. The good news is rates have trended down. So more likely than not, your lender can get you a free extension. We're getting free extensions on anything that, is scheduled to close early May that can't. We've got stuff like this. We've got people that got to crawl under houses and clear pest for VA loans and whatnot. And free extensions are available right now because rates have trended down. Rates are better than they were when this lender locked the loan, more likely than not. So best of luck to you. Let us know how it goes. I'd be interested to see what comes of that. Oh, this is a good one, Lipsa. How is the appraisal situation in the Bay Area, California? Builder wants the escrow closed by May end and will charge per diem for any delay. Wonder if I should request a rush. 1,000 million kajillion % request a rush. And here's what happens. Appraisal management companies are super busy. Appraisers are super busy. And so I talked to some people and asked them about like some of these appraisal management companies, class appraisals, first look appraisals, they're nationwide. So they see every single market. And I asked some of the, vice presidents of these companies in discussions, hey, John, hey, Blake, like, is this a problem that's just me in California that's having appraisal issues? And they said, no, it's nationwide. And hopefully, Lipsa, it's not really builder wants the escrow closed by. Okay. So it's a new build. It's not anything that's going to be hard to appraise, or it's not rural. I'm guessing if it's a new build. So it's not like, an hour out of town, because what appraisers are doing is they're so busy that the appraisal management company gets an order from your lender that says, hey, we need an appraisal for this property Lips is buying, a new build, and we need it back by May 14th, or whatever the date is. And they send it out there, and appraisers either accept the order or they don't. And if they're super busy and it's an hour away, nobody's accepting the order. And I've had stuff like that where 80 appraisers on this appraisal management company's, approved appraiser list they send out to, nobody wants the deal. So then what the lender has to do is, okay, we're willing to pay $200 more, $300 more. It's the same thing with the rush. We're willing to pay $800 for this appraisal if you can get it back to us by whatever the date is, May 12th. And so I would do that for sure, especially if you're under the gun and the builder is going to charge the per diem for a delay. Do that. I had a fun one. Let me see if I could find it. This is going to be worth the wait. Trust me here. Praise. There we go. See if I can get a picture to come up here. Share. There we go. This is the appraisal situation in the Bay Area. We've got everything cleared and everything's good. And let me take this down. Appraisers are like, I need another 400 and we'll have that rushed in 2 weeks, which is the truth, right? They're just they've got a little bit of leverage like sellers do right now. Where it's like, we're super busy. You're going to pay extra. And it's, even though it's a rush, it's 2 weeks. It used to be you get an appraisal in 2 weeks, no problem. If it was a rush, you'd get it back in 3 days. But now it's something like this, right? Appraisers are in some markets. God, what was the market? Oregon or something? I'm hearing about $2,200, $2,800. Just ludicrous things happening with appraisals. So best of luck to you, Lipsa, for sure. A rush, and hopefully it's not more than $300 or $400. It'll be well worth it. Okay. Oh my gosh. Sorry. That was an honest reaction. I've got a video on my channel, We Left It Behind, that I would love for you to check out. And it basically is how to pay off your home loan in 9 years without using a HELOC. Because the problem with this whole velocity banking, pay your loan off super quick, it's, brain is finding a nice way to say this. It's really like a lot of smoke and mirrors, in my humble opinion. Most of these things are variable, and most of these things, depending on if you have balance right now. If you have a $250,000 balance, you're going to pay it all off with a HELOC, and you're banking on the fact that it's amortized differently, so it's going to pay off quicker. You've got to, be worried about the rate adjusting if it's an adjustable rate mortgage, and 2, the big thing about this is, like, you've got this extra money, so you're gonna instead of putting it in your checking account, you're gonna put it in this home equity line, and then if you need it, you pull it back out. I just see the risk in that with people, so much flexibility, right? And then you've paid that down to 210 from 250, and a vast majority of people who don't have like a super strict budget, just all of a sudden it creeps up. It's like, oh, it's 229. How did that happen? Well, I told myself that, like, I got to pay this dental bill, so I'm going to pay it through here. And I told myself that, we have deserved a vacation because we've been locked in the house for so long. So we spent $4,600 here. And I can just see people going backwards, and it having the opposite effect where it takes you longer to pay off your house. So I'm not a big fan of it, and I might be wrong. I've been proved wrong before, but I made a whole video on it where I kind of just debunked it, because that strategy versus just, if you're gung ho about paying your house off, more power to you. Do your thing. And if you've got extra money every month, which is what this whole system says you need, is 10,000 going into checking, you only spend 7. Then 10,000 going in checking, and you only spend 7. 10,000 going in checking, and so that extra 3,000 a month is chunking off your principal. My video is like, you're not going to be that much better off with that home equity line doing that than you are the traditional, okay, I've got $3,000 left this month, I'm going to place it towards my mortgage principal. And the counter argument to that is always going to be, well, Matt, you're locking your money up. You don't have access to it. Where a HELOC, you've always got access to it. Access means risk to me. And there's always going to be, let's say you do that for 3 years and you've paid off $100,000 off your mortgage, or $125,000. That equity, you still have access to a home equity line if you wanted to take it, if you needed it, or a cash out refi or something to that effect. So, not a big fan, but I've been known to change my mind. I keep the mind open. So maybe in a year from now, I'll be a big fan of this, and someone will have educated me on how great it is. Man, all my Canada folks. We've got Ludi from Canada, got Michelle Body from Canada. Good to see you. My son, my 12-year-old, is doing a report on Canada right now. Our neighbors to the north. Thank you for joining and supporting. Appreciate seeing you here. Prices are crazy in the Bay Area. 3.5 will not bring prices down. You heard it here first. I'll show you guys something else. This is another one that I really like. I shared this in another group. This is the number one reason why prices, like, it's going to take an absolute miracle for prices to come down. And this graphic shows it better and in dramatic fashion, right? We haven't built enough over the preceding decade, 2010 through 2020. Building came to a screeching halt, and we realized builders were afraid. We're in the midst of that, crash 09, 2010, 2011, 08 through 12, right? Was just a disaster for the housing market. But here's a stat that is just crazy. I want to take that off too. How do I get that off of there? Whoops. Oh yeah, get that banner off of there. This is how many million homes were built each decade. And if you can't see it because it's kind of small, like this is the 1950s, the 1960s, the 1970s, the 1980s, the 1990s, the 2000s. People are being born. More households are being formed. So we always need more housing, new housing. Populations grow, right? 2010 through 2019, look at that. It blows this graphic, when I saw it, I was like, this can't be right. We literally underbuilt by like 20 million homes. It's wild. And then when you have the conversation about like, what's going on with the housing market? Why is there's this, humongous supply versus demand issue? This puts it into perspective. Like, we've got serious supply issues. Even if, foreclosures come to market, even if you think that people weren't listing because they were afraid and COVID and they didn't want people in their house, like, no matter what changes after what has happened in the last year, this is still a serious issue with inventory. And then you just exacerbate it with the other stuff over the past year. People aren't moving. The turnover rate is much smaller, injects more demand by interest rates being super low on the mortgage side. And no wonder it feels like winning the lotto to get an offer accepted. Look at that. That's crazy. Crazy stat. 5.8 million homes built 2010 through 2019. If we get back to these 25 million or so, because people are like, man, I see building going on all around me. They're going to have to do a lot of makeup work, like ridiculous amount to catch up. So we shall see. It'll be interesting. But yeah, that kind of blew me away at how crazy that stat was. So my answer to this question is nope. I think this, depending on how it shakes out with remote work, there's certain areas, like I'm surprised the Bay Area is still as hot as it is. I'm in Sacramento, so I'm about an hour and a half from the Bay Area. I have plenty of clients in the Bay Area. We're listed at 900, sell for 970, listed at 950. We're in contract at 1.1, stuff like that. Like, I'm still surprised at that, because a lot of the folks that I'm working with, Amazon engineers, work at Google, work at Facebook, they can work remote. They can work for wherever. And I'm looking at some of the houses they're buying for 1.1. I'm like, come on over to Sacramento, buy a friggin' mansion, or buy, a really nice single family for 650, have a mortgage payment that's a lot lower. You're on Zoom. You can Zoom for Sacramento. So for now, I just don't see it. I think that 3.5 might cool us off a little bit. But again, we said that, and then they went from 2.6 to 3.375, and we didn't see much of a cooling. So yeah, I just the supply and demand imbalance is going to need more than just a little increase in interest rates to really have an impact. Maybe it slows it down. If rates go to 4%, we slow down a little bit, and we don't have 15 offers. We've got 4 or 5. feels a little bit more normal. And if, a buddy of mine who predicts 2 million listings versus the 1 million we have today by the end of July, that slows things down, offer wise, price appreciation wise. But it's not like the 1.2 million today is 900 if rates go to 4 or inventory doubles. If inventory quadruples, we're in like a balanced market. So it's going to take a lot. It's going to take some event that I can't even predict to have any inkling of home price depreciation in the next 2 years, in my humble opinion. Yeah, I think you're in good shape, Miss Taylor. So I appreciate the question. Yeah, I mean, prepare for the worst, that it might be a month, and it might take somebody 3 weeks to get out. Then you have to reinspect it and all that. But you and your lender should be able to prepare for it, and the sell side's well aware of it, that the septic's got it repaired. So work that out. Just make sure the loan lock is extended. Shouldn't be a problem at all. And maybe if you look at it and just ask the question, hey, they're thinking it might be 3 or 4 weeks to get somebody out to do the septic. Can we extend our lock for 45 days? I'm doing 45-day extensions at no cost in a lot of scenarios. So that might be on the table. So have that conversation. Thanks again for your support. Thanks for watching. Should I always get an inspection of a home that was well maintained? Who pays for that? Buyer always pays for the home inspection, and always would be recommended, in my opinion. No matter, there's some new build stuff where it's, built in 2021, you're buying it. Maybe you don't necessarily need an inspection. I know I have buyers that are buying homes from their landlord, and they've lived there for 7 years, 9 years. And they're like, listen, I know this house, and my uncle's a general contractor. He walked through it. Okay, fine. The $300 or $400 that you'll pay for an inspection, peace of mind knowing there's not $15,000 in sewer damage, there's not an electrical issue where the house is going to burn down a year from now, I'd spend it every single time, no matter how, I won't say no matter how new the house is, because if the house is built in the last 5 years, I rescind the last comment. I might pass on the inspection. But yeah, highly recommend. And that's the one that I think is still sticking in this crazy market where people are waiving appraisal, they're waiving the loan contingency. They're still keeping the inspection contingency, which is a good thing. I think that's got to stay. All right, Hunter, you're asking about the 7% Fannie Freddie back to 14% for investment properties. And for anybody who sees this and like, what the heck is he talking about? There was something that came out within the last couple months where the number of loans that could be an investment property or a second home that's sold to Fannie and Freddie, who purchased most of the conventional loans or government subsidized entity, they said only 7% of the loans you send us can be investment or second. The question here is like, when are they going to change that back? Because what happened was when they announced that, a lot of lenders had to pull the reins back and say, we can't take any more investment loans, because if we're already sending Fannie and Freddie 10% of our business that's investor and second homes, we've got to do more primary residence and less investor loans. Therefore, we're going to raise the price on investor stuff. We're going to put new guidelines in place that make it harder to get these loans. And so I don't know, Dan. I don't necessarily know if they have any plans to do it anytime soon, but your follow-up question or your follow-up statement about the rate difference between owner-occ versus investment is crazy right now. I would encourage you to talk to a local mortgage broker, because every lender was different in how they implemented LLPAs, loan level price adjustments. I've got a lender who I send business to, a lot of business to, who wasn't doing a lot of investment loans. So they've got plenty of room to get to 7%. They only put in a 25 basis point loan level price adjustment. So their investment loans, there's not a huge gap. And by not a huge gap, let me type something in here. Let me type in Dan Hunter. I'm on another screen. I'm pricing a loan. You're trying to buy a $500,000 house, 25% down as an investment property. Seem like a 790 credit score kind of guy. And I hope I don't eat my words, because investment property, because I looked at this last week's live or the week before, and it really wasn't as bad as you might think. That being said, you might go to another lender that's 4.625. You're like, holy crap, 4.625 and 3%. That's a huge spread between owner occupied and investment property. This scenario, if it was owner occupied, it's probably 275-ish. And I'll do that too. But look at this. On an investment property, 25% down, 3.413, 0 points being paid. Not an offer, but that's live pricing today. 500K, 25% down, 790 credit score, 3.41, 0 points. Pay a half a point and get to a 3.25. Now, if that's an owner occupied, this is fun, because this is where you get inside the belly of the beast, being live with Matt the Mortgage Guy. Conventional, 0 points being paid. It's like I thought, about 275, 277. Pay a point, get to 2625. Don't do that. That's a lot. $4,000 for only about $30 a month. No bueno. Okay. So 277, 341. Not a huge spread, in my humble opinion. Yeah. So who knows when they'll, if they'll just take that away. I'm trying to see. Okay. Yeah. I wouldn't hold my breath. All right. If anybody wants a condo in San Francisco, Dan Hunter is selling one this summer. Dan, my guess is that if it's anything like it is today, you're going to have lots of offers. You're going to get to pick your price, pick your terms. One that I just was part of today was just nutso. I think it was listed in the low 9s. They got up to near 1.1, indefinite rent back, all contingencies waived. We're living in crazy times. I'm planning on going out of forbearance under Fannie Mae. If I have 20K deferred, can I pay extra a month towards forbearance lien? I do not believe so, but here's some cool news. Tomorrow at 1 o'clock, I got a video coming out. We all heard the CFPB talk about avoidable foreclosure. People coming out of forbearance, you're going to be given options. They're going to force the servicers to give options. They don't want people to foreclose. They want there to be options on the table. So here's likely what's going to happen. BOJ, IM. You're going to call your servicer. I'm leaving forbearance. First payment due June 1st. And they're going to say, cool. You've got a couple options. You can pay it all right now. You owe us $20,000. You got it? Even if you have it, you say, no, I don't want to pay that up front. Why would I do that? Okay. Do you want to pay an extra $1,550 or $1,600 a month? $1,650, whatever the number is, to pay off that $20K in 12 months. And you'll pay your regular mortgage payment alongside this extra payment and get it paid off in 12 months. Another not so fun scenario. Literally had a client today ask this, and this will be a sneak preview into tomorrow's video that's coming out tomorrow at 1 o'clock-ish. The third option, which my past client had to ask them for, like, what else can I do, is, well, we can modify you. And here's something to ask. I encourage you to ask this. My client did, and they pretty much just said, oh, well, now that you ask, okay, client's in a 3.875. Asks about a modification, asks about getting a lower rate, because they want to refinance into a lower rate. And a lot of folks who are in forbearance might not necessarily qualify because of lost job, change of job, whatever the case may be, right? So I'll skip all the explanation. Client is going to get to go from 3.875 to 3.125 and spread it out to a 40-year term. It's going to save $500 a month by doing that. And that deferred balance is getting rolled into that. So maybe what you do, BOJIM, is say, hey, can I modify this loan? And depending on what your terms are, maybe you're at 3.5. And they say, yeah, you can modify it. And we'll throw that $20K into the modification. We'll spread it out over 40 years. Then what you do, you're in the 40-year term, pay all you want towards extra principal because that $20K will be all rolled into one loan. If you put it on the back end and it's a separate lien, I don't think you can pay extra towards it like you asked in your question. But I think you ask for the modification. And, the advice I always give people is just because it's a 40-year term doesn't mean you got to pay it off in 40 years. You can make extra payments if you want. And so I thought that was cool. I thought it was super helpful that client's going to be not only offered that lower interest rate in the modification, but the 40-year term to save money per month and then do with that what you want. But being able to modify and lower your rate without having to actually refinance and pay, no matter who you talk to, if they're being straight with you, refinance costs money. It's lender fees, title fees. And if those fees are rolled in, rest assured, you paid for it in the rate because nothing is free in this world, in the mortgage world, let's say. There's some stuff free in the world, like love and happiness and all that, right? But yeah, I'd check that out and then report back to me. I'd love to hear. I love hearing folks' stories about what's going on with servicers because then I can relay it at scale to lots of folks. My home buying journey, about 4 months since new build, has had no dull moment. Lots of ups and downs. I'm sure, Lipsa. I think that if I recall correctly, you were probably one of the ones that was in contract 4 months ago and just scared to death because rates had gone up. And like, oh my gosh, what's going to happen? When can I lock? And luckily for people, rates have come back a little bit. A lot of people got into like 90 and 120-day locks. But people were afraid if it goes from 2.6 to 3.3, what's to say it's not going to go to 4%? And then, a payment you counted on is $250 more per month. That would be pretty wild. So I'm glad it's been worked out for you on the rate side at least. And then now, you're close to the finish line. Dan Hunter, do you think 40-year mortgages will be coming as an option for everyone in the near future? I wouldn't be surprised because I talk about that in the video that's coming out tomorrow about, these people that are in forbearance that have luckily going to have these options with loan mods to go into the 40. There's some people I know that probably should have taken forbearance. They were eligible and they were on the fence like, no, I'm going to tough it out, and they did all they could to just keep making their payments. For them to not have a 40-year mortgage available seems kind of messed up, right? Like they played by the rules and didn't get past due. And that's what happens is some of these programs, like we need to know you're struggling before we offer you assistance. Well, somebody who didn't take forbearance, who struggled to make the payment, might be struggling more than somebody who's in forbearance. It was like, I took it just in case. And I don't blame you because it was there and it was a click of a button and you got it. So we'll see, Dan. I wouldn't be surprised. And I don't know. A lot of people might yell at me and throw tomatoes at the screen, but I don't think I'd be that opposed to a 40-year. It would help the affordability issue for some people and this current administration that wants some equality in home ownership for certain people who, first generation, never been able to buy a home. If prices are more expensive and they're quote unquote priced out, but you give them a 40-year mortgage, now all of a sudden it's $1,350 a month versus $1,650. They can afford that. Maybe that's how they get on the property ladder. I'm for it until proven otherwise. How much does the lender have to make with a refi mortgage to do the deal? Does the size of the loan reduce the points needed? There's not a minimum the lender needs to make, but the way loans work is you get paid based on the loan size. And so the bigger the loan, the more the commission for the lender. And what will happen is if you've got a really small loan amount, 70,000, 80,000, there's rules in place that the fees can exceed a certain percent of the loan amount. And so it gets tough. If a lender's got a flat fee of $1,055 and then you've got $1,200 in title fees and you've got a $455 appraisal, flat fees versus a small loan amount is going to look like a bigger percentage because it is. And so That's why a lot of lenders shy away and won't do a loan under 75,000 or won't even do a loan under 125,000 because it's not going to pass what it needs to pass to qualify as a qualified mortgage. So yeah, that's the answer to that one. Matt, what are your thoughts on the housing market and mortgage rates in California? Would love to hear your opinion. We're going ballistic here with our bidding wars. The housing market. The housing market's wild. The housing market's wild, but in that same breath, I don't see things changing. I really don't. With all my heart, I try to give the most honest feedback that I can to folks. And for some people where it's super scary and it's too quote unquote inflated, prices have gone up too fast. I can't do it. I'm priced out. I can't afford it. Okay, I understand. I just don't see it getting better. So what's your game plan? Rent inevitably? Like forever? Because what happens is, and I explain it because I'm a numbers guy in terms that like make sense to me. If the house that you want to buy today is $500,000, it seems expensive. Like, holy moly, I never thought I'd spend $500,000 on a house. And you can get a 2.8% interest rate on that $500,000 house. If things continue for 2 years at where they're at, or even close to where they're at, and depending on the area, 12%, 15% appreciation, that's not sustainable, right? I don't foresee that happening every year for the next 5 years. I would never predict that. But if for the next 3 years, you see 12% in 2021, you see 10% in 2022, you see 8% in 2023, then all of a sudden that $500,000 house is $650,000. And if it's $650,000 in 3 years, let's paint the picture that it's made it unaffordable for a lot of people. And rates also ticked up. So now it's even more unaffordable. And rates are 4.5%. Prices are 30% more than they are today 3 years from now. And so things correct. Prices start to come down. And so houses are on the market for 30 days, 45 days, price reduction. And we see a pretty massive correction. A massive correction would be 20%, in my opinion. That would be fairly massive. So rates are up, affordability, it's tough for people. There's not as much, action, and they've built a ton. They built like crazy over the next 2.5 years. 20% down from 650 is 130 off. So we're back down to 520. But rates are 4.5% now. 500,000 today versus 520, and today's 500 is at 2.5%, and 3 years from now it's 520 at 4.5%. It's probably a $500 difference in payment because of the rate difference. The price is almost the same, but that rate difference is humongous. And so with that in mind, I cannot give people advice. Just wait it out. Wait it out. It'll get better, because I just don't see it. I really don't. That graphic I showed where there's only, less than 6 million homes built 2010, 2019, that tells me that we're going to have supply issues for a long time. And, yeah, that's my story. I'm sticking to it. What homes will appreciate the most? I'm willing to overpay just like a home that could appreciate faster long-term. That's a good question. I think it's not necessarily, it's markets, right? If you go to a market where the population is growing and where people are moving into more than they're moving out of, there's a lot of Texas markets, right? Where like Austin's got tech folks coming, and the Florida governor has, 1,000 people coming in per day. Those markets are growing. So you can expect when a market grows, it'll appreciate more long-term. If everybody's moving out of the market you're in, that's a scary market to buy in, right? But if everybody's moving in, that's how I feel about Sacramento. Sacramento is like on all these lists of places people want to live in California, if they want to live in California. Some people would rather live anywhere in the world but California. But yeah, that's what we'll appreciate the most. I think a single family home, which is the most desirable of the stuff that we're talking about, right? If you take condo versus single family versus manufactured versus other home types. Single family home in a market that's got job growth, population growth, stuff like that. Hey, Matt, would you be willing to shed some light on how loan officers get compensated? I know that agents get 2 to 2.5%, but I have no idea about loan officers. With loan officers, it's similar. Agents are going to get paid by the seller. Seller pays the agent who represents them on the sell side, and they pay the buyer's agent who brings the buyer. And it might be 2.5% to the sell side, 2.5% to the buy side. So the seller is paying 5%. The good news on the loan side is that nobody involved is paying the commission. The mortgage company is paying the commission. It's going to be different for a broker than it is for a direct lender. You know, for a direct lender, say somebody works for ABC Mortgage Company. ABC Mortgage Company pays that lender a percentage of the loan amount. If they pay him 1.5% or 1%, then a $400,000 loan gets written. They get $4,000 if they're getting paid 1%, or they get $6,000 if they're getting paid 1.5%. Keep in mind that, you know, when you come to the broker side, the broker commission might be 1.5%, might be 2%, but there's the broker's getting paid, the processor's getting paid, credit reports are getting paid for, a bunch of costs involved before it trickles down to little old me. But that's how it works. You come to me as a broker. I look at different lenders. No matter where I send the loan, I've got set compensation based on the loan amount. We'll call it 1.5%. Send your loan to this lender. They're going to pay me 1.5% of that loan amount. And I'm going to find the lender that has the best terms and send it there. And on the broker side, that lender's paying me directly. There's no extra fluff. Working with a direct lender, you're working with a bank, there might be fluff, right? Branch manager, regional vice president, director of operations, director of marketing, guy who brings bagels every Tuesday. All those people are getting paid. And then loan officer. Broker, I send your loan, United Wholesale Mortgage, they pay me. Period. The end. That's why the rates are lower. I mean, sorry for non-brokers, but it's just the truth. With house price going so high, do you see 40-year mortgages as a new norm? I don't know about new norm. Someone was telling me about some country, and please chime in if you know about this, 100-year loans. What country is that? 100-year loans. Let me get one of those. My payment will be super low. And people are going to hem and haw and like, oh my gosh, you know, people are just getting indebted for life and the mortgage is straddling them with debt. 9 out of 10 people aren't paying their mortgages off anyway. They're passing this mortgage on to their kids or whatnot, you know, or they're selling the house and buying a condo outright when they are in retirement or whatever it is. But, you know, whether you have 14 years left on your loan or 21 isn't of a lot of relevance to me, in my humble opinion. I don't know. Dave Ramsey would just blast me right now. He'd tell me I'm a complete idiot. So sorry, Dave. I'm for the 40. Oh man, that would be a fun one to watch. Like we come out with a 40-year mortgage and just tune into Dave Ramsey, who's all about the 15. You got to have a 15-year mortgage that's 25% of your take-home pay. Good luck in California with that, Mr. Ramsey. How do you finance a home if I want to buy land and build a custom home? This is a good question. Pros, cons. Thanks for joining. I'm going to answer this for everybody because I think it's important. And I think that I get this question quite a bit, and not you personally, but a lot of people I get this question from is just, it's a huge dream. And they're like, you know what? It's competitive. You know what I'm going to do? I'm going to buy a piece of land. I'm going to build a custom home. And that's the grand plan. And I talk to them. I'm like, how much do you have in capital, in money for this venture? And they've got $23,000. The land, I can guarantee you, is going to take 30 or 40% down a lot of times you got to buy it outright cash. So if the land cost 100, you got to have at least 40 or 50 in most cases. I won't say in all cases. Maybe a lender does 30% down on land. It's a high risk endeavor buying land because it's not presenting any income to you. And so from what I've seen, at least, it's going to take a high down payment. So then you buy the land, and then building a custom home with lumber prices right now, and with just like all build costs, like sliders, windows, everything more expensive than ever. I would say it would be a very, very expensive endeavor right now. So that might not answer your question, but how do I finance it? There are programs out there that are called construction to perm. And I don't personally do that stuff, but I have some friends at Umpqua Bank, and I know they have some products, and I'm sure there's plenty of other products out there where they probably lend you X% of the build. And as you're building, they release a certain amount. And it's called construction to perm because it's a construction loan, and that you're getting, 50,000 here and then 50,000 there, 50,000 there as you're building. And then once you've completed the build, they appraise it and convert it to a permanent loan, permanent conventional financing. So those loans are out there, but probably requires a bunch of your capital up front to buy the land and a bunch of your capital as down payment, because I'm fairly certain they're not doing those like construction to perm loans with 100% financing or even 80 or 90. It's probably they're going to put up 60 or 70%, and you got to put up the other 30 to 40. So that's that. All right, Tara, thanks for joining us. What happens if I get declined for a loan after the seller accepts my offer? Can I change lenders quick? You can. I would question what happened with the pre-approval, and if you have a lender who's issued a pre-approval, they should have vetted this deal. I would try to find out from them, like, why is this a declined loan? Because if they've done everything they can and they're good, if you've come to my office and I've said, listen, this loan's not going to work, you got to back out and get your earnest money deposit back. We can decline it. We can give that to you. It happens very rarely because there's such a thorough job done on the pre-approval. But if it does, if I can't do it, Joe Schmo and Mary Sue down the street can't do it either. It's just a loan that's just not working for whatever reason, debt to income ratio or something about your pay that might not have disclosed or not known or something. I don't know. Yeah, that's a crappy situation to be in. So sorry for that. The fact that you're in that. I would talk to the original lender and say why. Explain to me why, and then ask them to share everything they know with any lender who says they can do it. Because inevitably, if you talk to enough people, somebody's gonna be like, "Yeah, I can do it. I can do it. I can do it." Because by trying, they at least give themselves a shot. And so I've seen it way too often, where you call a lender and you give them your situation, and like, "Yeah, I was denied elsewhere." No, I can get it done. I can do it. And then they drag you through 2 weeks and then decline you too. And now maybe your earnest money deposit is lost. So when they say, yes, I can do it, ask them why. And then ideally have the two lenders talk. Because there's been situations where I could legitimately do a loan that somebody else declined. And that lender feels terrible if they've got any heart at all. And so by someone else taking over and saying, I can get this closed, they're going to be open to that conversation. And I'm going to say, hey, listen, your lender has this overlay. They want to allow this, can't use rental income because of this reason. I know I can. I've done it on past deals. Send me all the stuff without rental income. The debt to income ratio works and we're good. Best of luck to you. All right, Lipsa. See, I'm not going crazy in my old age. Lock today. It's good. I'd lock. If I was you, I would lock. I would not gamble any further. Sign the contract when it's 2.75. About to lock very soon. It's probably close to that again. It's getting back down there. That one I ran 2.77 with 25% down. I don't know how much down you have or what your credit score is, but you're probably back near there. Don't be a gambler. Just lock it. If you like it, lock it. Because if you like it and you don't lock it, then 2 weeks from now we're 2.92, and 2.92 is still great versus 2.77, 2.81, or whatever you can get today. But you just don't want to gamble with it. What do you recommend, variable versus fixed? Which, in your opinion, is better? Right now, in the super low interest rate environment, there's very little reason to do a variable rate loan. I see lending guidelines changing and some things getting stricter. It would be scary if you have something that's adjustable in 5 years or 7 years. You just don't know what's going to happen. You might find your true passion, leave your job, become self-employed, love it more than anything in the world, be having a ball. Interest rates pop up, your rate's adjustable, it goes up 2, 3, 4%. And now because of how you're paid, because you're self-employed and living your dream, you can't qualify for loans, so you can't refinance. And you're stuck in that. If the variable or this adjustable rate mortgage is 2.625 and you can get 2.875 fixed, it's so close. Why gamble? Why gamble? My opinion. Matt, do you think AI and other advanced technology will drastically change the job of a mortgage broker? God, what was I listening to today? I think I was listening to the podcast on Bigger Pockets with Ryan Serhant, the $1 million listing guy from New York. And he had a good point where he's like, I did an interview with some magazine where I talked about the combination of high tech and high touch. If you come to work with me and my team, we've got a bunch of cool technology. I'll send you a link to our Flowify application. You'll fill it out based on if you're self-employed or you're W-2'd or you're buying or refinancing, whatever you answer in there, it's going to respond. Thanks for entrusting us with your loan, Armando. Log back into our secure portal. Here's what you need to upload. It'll tell you what you need to upload. If you upload 5 out of 6 things and not the 6th, tomorrow it's going to email you and say, hey, Armando, thanks for getting all this stuff in. We still need your 2019 W-2. You send that in. Thanks for getting all that done. And so we're using technology to make it easy for you. But the difference is you call me up and say, hey, Matt, I'm going to offer on this house. My agent says this and that. Does that sound legit? Yeah, it sounds legit. And here's on top of that, have them CC me on the offer. I'm going to call and help you get the offer accepted. No computer's doing that, bro. Like, and so if you're going to save $400 or $700 by using some company who's built technology where you never talk to anybody, but you can't get an offer accepted. I mean, they saved you $700 because their systems have less humans involved, right? But you can't ever get anything accepted because the agent on the list side who you're offering, they don't want, top tech mortgage from out of state as the lender. 100% guarantee that offer just gets thrown in the trash or it gets rolled up next to the toilet and it gets used for what. So I ain't scared is my short answer, because back to the Serhant thing, he talked about people love working with computers and people are tech savvy more than ever, but they're going to come to a highly qualified mortgage broker and a highly qualified real estate broker because we talk back. The computer doesn't talk back. And for certain, 1,000% guarantee, you get pre-approved with Quicken Mortgages. You talk to some kid in the call center who was at Carl's Jr. last week working and flipping fries, and now he's working in a call center. He's not going to be anywhere near, no offense to him. I mean, Carl's Jr. was a great job, and now he's 22 and he's working in the call center at Quicken. More power to him. He's going to go on to do great things, I'm sure. Good on him. He's not having the same conversations we're having, where I know you want to buy 3 properties in the next 6 years. Let's figure out a way to structure this. Here's what you want to do on your first one. Don't put 10% down, put 5. Once we put 5, here's the game plan for number 2. And here's the game plan for number 3. All that kind of stuff. I just don't see a robot replace a Matt the mortgage guy. My humble opinion. I mean, I think that a conference I was at touched on this with, the financial advising position for people with extreme wealth. They don't want to just plug into some of these softwares or some of these investment programs that are, super high tech, lower fees, no human involved. You're investing your money, you're planning your retirement. Sometimes you want to sit belly to belly, talk to a person who's been doing that for 30 years, who you like and trust. Same thing applies to mortgage, in my opinion. Oh, you have a 2.785, 15 years, a 2.78, a 15 year with 20 years left. Yes, you got a good looking mortgage. Yeah, I wonder, I'd be interested. I really want you to shoot me an email, matt@mattthemortgageguy.com, after you talk to your servicer. When you're in those talks with your servicer and talking to them about your options, I wonder if they'll modify you into a new 15. The client of mine who was modifying into a 40, it's the same type of modifications that happened back in the day. Because I remember where they would tell you, here's the new terms of your loan. It's going to be a 40-year, 3.125. You're going to pay for 3 months. It's going to be a trial modification, see how it goes. And then if you like it and it's good, then we will, make it a permanent loan, and then off you go. Yeah. Interesting. And I guess it depends on your goals too, right? Are you trying to pay this thing off? You only got 6 years left. Or are you trying to have a low payment, have cash flow for other stuff? All right, Dan, can you explain what recasting a loan means? I certainly can. This is a video that literally YouTube could care less about. But I made it anyway. Recast at the mortgage guy. I'm just going to make sure it's what it's called. I'll explain it too, but I have a video on the channel. What is a mortgage loan recast? So here's a recast, Dan. You buy a house, you owe $300,000. Your payment is $1,800. 6 months from now, you receive an inheritance, and you're talking it over with your wife. You're like, I don't know what we're going to do with this inheritance money. Like, sitting it in a bank account just seems like it's not going to earn nothing. And, we'll put some of it into a retirement account and maybe a, index fund that's going to be something we draw on in retirement. But with some of it, let's pay down our mortgage. It would be cool to have a lower mortgage payment where we're not paying $1,800 a month. You could take $100,000, apply it towards the principal on your home loan. Now you owe $200, or you've made some payments, so you owe $198, right? You've paid it down from $300 to $298. You throw $100,000 at it. Now you owe $198. You apply with the lender. Most all lenders will do this. Say, I want to recast my loan. So now you've got 29 years and 6 months left, but you made a $100,000 principal payment. You want them to take that new balance over 29 and a half years. Because if you left it alone, your payment would stay the same. You would just pay it off a lot sooner, probably 10 years sooner. You want to recast it over 29 and a half years with that new balance. Now your payment comes down, and this is just a guess and just random numbers, but your payment's $1,400 a month now. That's essentially what a recast is. Most lenders will do it for a small flat fee. I've seen $150, and it's got to be a fairly sizable principal payment. You can't pay $300 extra towards principal. Be like, go ahead and recast me, save $1 a month. It's got to be like $5,000 or $10,000 minimum, and then you recast it and lowers your payment. So that's it. And then mortgage recast is about a month ago. I mean, it's not too bad. It's got 865 views. So some people are interested in it. It just wasn't a banger like the housing market crash videos that get 10,000 views in the first week. That's all people want to talk about is the crash. Do lenders, underwriters discriminate against certain self-employed businesses? I run an e-commerce business, spend a lot on advertising, been profitable for the last 4 years. The way you phrase this question, I think I can read between the lines. Underwriters do not discriminate. They just only read numbers. So you could be doing e-commerce. You could be doing OnlyFans. You could be doing whatever the heck you want to be doing. What shows up on your tax return, net income, is what they're looking at. And so you say, I spend a lot on advertising, which is understandable for e-commerce. Gross sales, advertising, expenses, all the stuff, right? Net income, whatever hits the bottom line. They're going to look at that number in 19, 20, year to date 21. So that's 28 months of history. Self-employed stuff, they're looking for an average. That's the only way they can best guess what you're going to make in the future is look at the past. So over those last 28 months, your net income number averages $4,700 a month. That's the income they're going to use. Whether you're e-commerce or you're a mortgage broker with an S corp or no matter what, like net income is what they're looking at and an average. And where people are going to run into problems is in 19, if your bottom line was 100,000, and then in 20, your bottom line was 62,000. And then 2021 year to date, you provide a profit and loss that shows your bottom line is $3,000 per month. A lender's getting real worried. It's trending down. Why? And in that case, it's not even a 28-month average. It's the average would be $4,500 a month, but based on these last 4 months, it's only making $3,000 a month. They'll either give you zero or they'll give you the lowest. Like the last 4 months is $3,000 a month. We're going to give you $3,000 a month. Or they'll say it's, went from $8,000 a month to $3,000. This thing's dying. Our future projection is zero. So zero income. It's hard as a self-employed borrower. And I know it's hard. I don't make the rules. I'm just the messenger, so don't shoot me. But that's the gist of it. Self-employed borrowers have a tougher time. It's not anything about discriminating. It's not anything about what kind of business you're in. It's just a matter of how much profit / net income you show on your tax return. And I don't care if your bank accounts show that you make $9 zillion a month. What hits your tax return is what matters. And that's where self-employed borrowers get lost or bent or expectations aren't met because like, man, my business really thrives. Like I've got $26,000 a month in deposits to show. Well, in your tax return, you make $1,400 a month. That's what the lender's going to use. That's all they can use. When is a good time to waive inspections when putting offer? Good agent is going to tell you exactly how you're going to structure the offer, which includes inspection contingency periods. Oh, when is it a good time to waive inspections? If you're comfortable doing it. Like I said earlier, I probably wouldn't waive the property inspection, but you might waive the appraisal inspection. You might waive your loan contingency if you've got a really strong buyer. But that's something that really only the client can answer. Are you okay forfeiting your earnest money deposit? Are you okay offering $40,000 above list, waiving your appraisal contingency? That means that no matter what it appraises at, you're going to buy it for that price. Those are the questions one must ask thyself in thy market we are in, where it is very competitive. I don't understand how people have hundreds of doors. How do they get so many loans? Fannie and Freddie cut people off after 10 commercial loans. Nailed it, Jason. Commercial loans. There's all kinds of wraps and things of that nature where I've seen clients do this. Buy. And like you said, 10 mortgages is the Fannie Freddie rule. So I can get you 10 conventional loans. And then I can get you a new primary, and that would put you up to 11. And that one doesn't count towards that 10. Well, it counts, but then you can buy, once you have 10, a new primary. I'm getting sidetracked. Then you're looking to add more stuff to your portfolio. Jason, you can go and let's say that by this time you've got 10 properties that are $3 million in value. $300,000 a piece is what they're worth. And you owe $2 million on them. Let's say you owe 1.8. Some of these blanket loans are going to cap at 60% loan to value. So 3 million, 1.8 is the max loan you can get. They'll wrap those all together. And basically they're, in first position on all 10 homes. And you've got a $1.8 million loan. They call it a wrap. They call it something else, I think, that's not coming to mind. And 4.5% interest rate or 5% interest rate. I've seen them hover in there where the terms might not be as good, But really, when you've got that much real estate, you're not super, dependent on being the best rate. And then some people over time on this question, some stuff's getting paid off. So that's how they do it. But the commercial loans thing is definitely something I see where it's just kind of a big blanket loan, right? And you can have 46 properties where they're worth 10 million, you owe 5.5. Someone's going to give you a commercial loan for 5.5, pay off all the other loans. You're just making one mortgage payment to them on that commercial loan for all those doors. So that's the most common way, I think, that's done. Oh, I know. I promised you a video, Simon, for non-QM loans. Whenever I do a video, I want to at least spend an hour or two digging in because I've got the working knowledge up in my brain on some of the non-QM stuff that I'm currently working on and that I'm working on in the future. And I want to add to that some products that maybe I haven't touched or done a deal on in the last 6 months that have come out because there's some cool stuff. The most common ones that I know about, Simon, are DSCR, debt service coverage ratio. Your debt service, meaning mortgage payment, principal, interest, all that is $2,000, and this thing rents for $2,400. Your debt service coverage ratio is 1.2? It's about 1.2, right? Anything above 1, they'll lend to you. If just based on that, if you've got enough down payment and you've got good credit, I've got debt service coverage ratio loans, investor loan like that, where you just do that. Then there's bank statements loan. I just recently did one of those. Again, it's not, the terms aren't as good as conventional, but you can show me 12 months of bank statements where the average is $8,400 a month being deposited. Go out and get a loan based on that. And we close one of those. I'll dig in though, because I've got my knowledge in my head. I'm going to dig in a little bit and give you some good info. All right, Michelle. Millennials entering the housing market as a first-time home buyer. Really good agent, really good lender. Tell them to shoot straight with you. That's the best advice I can give. Because I just see too many people. I'll give you a prime example. I work with a lot of agents. I know a lot of agents in my surrounding area. Sacramento, Northern California. Agent writes an offer today at asking price. Highly competitive price range. Under $400,000. And agent didn't talk to the list side. Agent tells me offers in. I ask agent for address and contact info for list side. Oh, I know list side. I've done deals with list side. I'll reach out to him. I reach out to him and list side says, we've got lots of offers, as you probably would expect. Your agent's offer was the lowest. Not my agent, but agent representing my buyers. Working with an agent like that, who's not just going to tell you, listen, Michelle, I know you want to offer 350. 350 has no shot. This thing's listed at 349. I guarantee you they're going to get offers for 380 plus. They're probably going to get offer near 400. If you want to write, let me call and talk to the listings agent. And that's like the first step. Like you have to do that as an agent. Talk to the list side. Find out what ballpark you need to be in. If you're not in that ballpark, why even show up? You don't have tickets to the game. You're just going to stand outside and when they cheer, you think something good's going on. So, as a loan officer, I'm backing up what the agent is saying, not because I'm trying to sell something to the client or I'm trying to, get them to get out of their comfort zone and offer more than they're willing to offer, but just to serve them in a way that says, listen, Michelle, it's hard. It's really hard as a buyer. And if you want to buy, you're going to have to put your best foot forward. You're going to have to offer above listing. You might have to waive some contingencies. If that is super scary to you and you're just like that you're not comfortable with it, all good. But writing an offer for 340 on something that's listed for 350 that we know is going to sell for 380 doesn't help anybody out. So that's the best advice. Quality agent, quality loan officer, tell them to be honest with you. Honesty, straightforwardness, candor helps you in this market. Faux show. Is it better to have tax and insurance included in your mortgage or not? For me, it is. I don't want more stuff to worry about. Every 6 months, pay your property taxes. Every year, pay your homeowner's insurance. Some people like to do that on their own and more, do your thing. Do you, boo. 95% of people escrow their tax and insurance. For anybody who's unclear, we're talking about paying your mortgage payment and its principal, interest, tax, and insurance is all one payment. It's all in one. That's the vast majority of people. Some people say, I'm going to pay my principal and interest in the mortgage company. I want to pay my tax and insurance separate. You can. Most loan types allow it. And so you just waive escrows. And if you got a conventional loan with 20% down, go ahead and waive escrows and you pay those separately. My only question is why? You're going to earn 19 cents on the $3,000 that's sitting in that account every month. I don't need the 19 cents that bad. I'd rather just know that stuff's getting taken care of on autopilot, but I don't know. To each their own. Some people, all right. You heard it here first, guys. Dogecoin. Jason Lewis is our Doge expert. Crayler Made. Appreciate you, man. Your channel's friggin' awesome. If anybody hasn't check out Crayler Made, really, really cool YouTube channel. I think you're like 20K subs or something now, man. Crushing it. So congrats to you, man, on really good stuff. Do you think the market will cool off anytime soon? I'm trying to buy my first property and I've pressed pause for a bit because it's so crazy. If you weren't tuned in about 30 minutes ago, I basically went through a scenario on why I think this is a bad idea. And I might be wrong. So call me back in 3 or 6 months and tell me I'm a complete idiot, but I'll give you the 30-second snapshot. It was, one, we've got such small supply that I just don't see any fix for that, right? Tons of demand, small supply. More likely than not, the next 3 years are just home price appreciation. We won't see 12, 15, 17 like we saw last year, but we might see 12, then we might see 9, then we might see 7. But if home prices that are 500 today go up and 3-4 years from now it's 650, you could get to 650, rates could be higher, and we could see a big 20% correction and come down to 520. It's still more than the 500 today after a 20% correction when some miraculous thing happens and we can build 1 million homes per month through 3D printing or wherever the heck we figure out how to do that. And rates are 4.5%. So you didn't buy today at 500 at 2.8%, 30-year fixed. You bought 4 years from now or 5 years from now at 520 and 4.5%, you're worse off down the road. My humble opinion, my story, and I'm sticking to it. Thanks for the super chat. I appreciate it, man. I get to brag to my kiddos about the super chat. 8 and 12-year-olds that have a dad on YouTube getting super chat just gives me serious clout on the home front. Appreciate you, man. All right, Phil, we got your offer accepted, 5% down VA. If we want to refinance in 3 to 5 years, are we able to cash out via VA or we have to go conventional? You can do either one. You can cash out of a VA loan and any loan you'd like, as long as you qualify debt to income ratio wise and loan to value wise. What you're going to run into likely is if you put 5% down VA, you're going to have enough price appreciation in 3 to 5 years to do a conventional loan. Prices could go flat. Who knows? You might buy today. We'll call it 500. You put 5% down. So you owe 475. If 4 years from now, it's worth 550, a conventional loan, you're going to be maxed at 80% loan to value. If you're going to try to do any cash out. So that's only going to get up to, what's that? 440 max loan amount for cash out, at least. If you're VA eligible, it's a pretty sweet looking loan. That's like low 2s on a 30-year fixed. So the only variable to consider when you're looking at VA versus conventional is that funding fee, because depending on if you're any percent disabled, according to the VA, you may be able to have that funding fee waived, which is awesome. It's 20 or 25% disabled where you get that funding fee waived. Because also you're going to have no mortgage insurance on the VA besides the rate being lower. Rates lower, no mortgage insurance, a lot of positives versus conventional. The only thing the conventional is going to beat VA on is that there's there's not going to be any upfront fee like that funding fee, which you may or may not have to pay. So weigh those side by side. I've worked with some where the property type might matter too. And you already got your offer accepted, so you're not worried. This one got accepted because I say in this market it's scary. I got VA buyers that are buying conventional just because that's the only thing that'll get accepted. So you got that going for you too. All right, Jason, $5 million in real estate, $2.5 million debt. All my conventional loans are used up. Oh, so you're like, I don't want to do the blanket and then add more. I want to add more and leave these alone. I bet you find, well, you'd have to go to non-QM lending, which somebody above here talked about. Where's my guy, Simon Fung? Non-QM. He asked me to make a video on non-QM. I'm going to do it. And so some of these debt service coverage ratio loans, Jason, is what you're going to have to use for the ones going forward. And so you're just going to have to underwrite them saying, hey, if I pay 4.5% interest, does this thing still pencil? If I pay 4.75, does it still pencil? I don't know other ways besides, I know some real estate investors that I work with have like private funding where, you got friends, family, extended network where you're like, listen, I got $5 million in real estate. I know real estate. I know what I'm doing. I'm trying to collect some money. I'm trying to pay you guys 4.5% interest versus the 0.25% you're getting in your savings account. People that are risk averse and don't want to put money in the stock market, don't want to put it in other investments, just have money sitting in a plain old bank account, getting 0.1% interest, pay them 4%. They'll be happy. And, put them in first lien position and tell them that. Say, you're not lending me this money and hoping that I pay it back. You're lending me this money. I'll put 20% down on the property. And so I've got that much skin in the game. If I don't pay you your payments, you own the property. You're in first lien position. You foreclose on me. So that's probably where I would go, Jason, is try to figure out a way to get some private funding. Miguel Ochoa. My last 2 loans have taken longer and the broker's guaranteed to close in 30 days. If it takes longer, it's never their fault. Is there a way that brokers can be financially accountable? Not necessarily. There's so many moving parts in mortgage that, if appraisal takes 3 weeks, there's not much that a lender can do about it. That's probably like one of the biggest stress points. And as much as you're stressed out as a consumer, on the lending side, behind closed doors, we are screaming our lungs out at appraisal management companies. And I can tell you for certain that there's changes going on. The whole way that appraisals get done, from the top down, from the best wholesale lenders out there, they are reevaluating. They're cutting off appraisal management companies. They're adding new ones. It's, for lack of a better term, it's a shit show right now when it comes to appraisals in a lot of places. And, I'm doing loans all over California. So some areas are better than others. Some appraisers are better than others, but there's not necessarily, any recourse to be like, hey, listen, you're supposed to get a loan done in 30 days and it took 45. As most brokers, especially the one you're talking to right now, are going to make sure that like, hey, we agreed on this rate. We're going to eat the costs of any rate extension or anything like that. So, the terms of your loan are going to stay the same. And I mean, even in that case, like if a lender was just like, hey, listen, man, is what it is. It's going to cost to extend the rate and all that stuff. There wouldn't be much recourse I see, but I know for my clients and the ones that I'm working on, I'm going to make it right. And if I got to do a loan for free because I had a crap appraiser and I've got, extenuating circumstances, then so be it. But sorry, Miguel, that things are taking long on your specific loan, but rest assured, you shall make the finish line. I'm curious, Jason, you're in the Bay Area. Are you investing in the Bay Area, or are your rentals other parts of California or outside of California? Just curious. In your opinion, I'm going for a home with $485 with 3% down. My mortgage would be $2,650. I make 120K net with no personal debt, and I have just business debt. Is it doable? It's a great question. And it's really like, you'll qualify with the lender based on the lender's criteria, but then you got to look at your own personal criteria. And some people who are super financially responsible are going to have different criteria than somebody who's like always got to have the nicest car, always got to take 5 luxury vacations per year. Depending on your lifestyle, I think the answer better than I would be able to answer it. But, it's 120K net. You pay taxes. You might bring home $8,000 a month, let's call it. If your mortgage payment is $2,650 of that $8,000, I think you're in good shape. Truth be told, some people have their mortgage payment that's half of their take-home pay. In your case, maybe $4,000 of the $8,000 that you take home. That would scare me. $2,650, which is closer to a third. Not so much. So I think that you're fine. What is the rule? The rule of thumb, like four times your annual income is the home price. You're like right in there. I think 120 times 4 is 480. So I think you're good. And I think that, you analyzing your spending habits is probably an area where you can kind of figure out like, okay, am I good? The good news for a lot of people, I think, is when I talk to folks about, let's take your case, for example, $2,650. You're like, man, I don't know. I was paying $1,900 a month in rent. So my housing expense is going up $750. I realize as a homeowner, there's other expenses that might be involved. Dishwasher breaks, hot water heater breaks, AC takes crap. The good news is if you got a 30-year fixed loan and you're putting 3% down, what the mortgage payment is going to be. It's going to stay the same, and more likely it's going to get smaller because mortgage insurance is going to fall off once you have enough equity. If you expect in 5 years to be making more money, in 10 years to be making more money, this $2,650 is going to go from a third of your take home pay to a fourth, to a fifth. And over time, 10, 15, 20 years from now, when you're making $200 a year and your payment MI is falling off, so now you're paying $2,450 a month, you're going to be feeling pretty good about it because it's going to be a smaller percentage as time goes on. As a real estate investor, I've always found it easier to talk and work with second-time home buyers because there's not a lot of hand-holding required. I think it depends on the person. There's plenty of first-time buyers who are really savvy, really know their stuff. There's plenty of people who have bought 10 houses that are a pain in the freaking ass. So, I guess it sounds like as a real estate investor, maybe you're an agent as well. Because it sounds like you're talking and working with buyers, or are you talking to them about buying their house? I don't know, but yeah, everybody's different. There's some people that are harder to work with than others. Or you can explain it to them, you just can't understand it for them. Good news. RSUs. For anybody who doesn't know, it's asking about stocks that are part of compensation, usually called restricted stock units, RSUs. Most lenders allow you to use that as income. So let's give an Amazon engineer as an example. Work with a lot of those, especially the Bay Area. Part of the compensation package is restricted stock units. You're getting stock. And it might be like in this case where you're saying 20% of your total pay, 30% of your total pay. So of the $300,000 a year that you make as an engineer, $210,000 is regular income, $90,000 is in restricted stock units. We treat that just like income. We treat it kind of like bonus income where we can use it. We just have to show a history of it. So if you got it in 19, you got it in 20, we expect to get it in 2021. We can take an average. RSUs of 80,000, RSUs of 100, RSUs of 120. We can take an average of that. And just like we take an average of bonus and commission income, we're going to be able to use it towards income. So 10% down jumbo loans, which I've been doing a lot of in California, are were able to use that income. It was on the fence. They were telling us for a little bit, like, I don't know if we can use it. And I was like, well, this loan product works well for some of these Bay Area tech folks that get RSUs as part of their compensation. We can use it. So good news on restricted stock units. Thanks for that question. It's a good one. Thank you. I appreciate the kind words. I'm trying my best. I'm just on here trying to do my part, help the people. 2 hours every Monday. Trying to see what I can learn as well. Yeah, if you go back, I go into it in a little more detail. Kraler made, but essentially, like, waiting is scary. If you're waiting for prices to go down, there's a saying: you can wait in one hand, crap in the other. See which one fills up first. I don't know if that fits, but close. Man, all 10 loans in the East Bay. That's not cheap property over there. Can you use business capital to pay some of your mortgage if you use your home for work full time? I'm fairly certain the answer is no. My official answer, final answer, is consult the CPA. But if you used business capital to pay your mortgage, your bookkeeper or your accountant or whoever is kind of doing your books is going to tell you that money coming out of your business is an owner draw. It's basically like you paid yourself. It's not a business expense for you to pay the mortgage. I don't think. It'd be cool if it was. I'm going to start paying my mortgage at my business account. All right. Find out for me, then email me, matt@mattthemortgageguy.com. Talk to your CPA. I'll talk to my CPA too. See who gets the answer first. Okay. I get that. Here's a funny example though, Kraler, and I swear I had this conversation that some people are pressing pause similar to you, and they're not pressing pause because of the price. They're pressing pause because of the competition. And so I see your next comment where you're buying in the $250,000 to $300,000 range, which is extremely competitive. My question to you would be, if something's listed for $250,000, are you more uncomfortable paying $280,000 today than you are paying $280,000 next year when it's listed at $280,000? Because prices might go up, but if rates tick up, if more inventory comes on, it's less competitive, and things flatten out, or home price appreciation is only 3 or 4%, then you're only competing against 3 offers, and it gets listed at $275,000, and you can get it for $280,000. Are you going to feel better about that same house versus less competition at the same price? I mean, it's a good question, because I think that's the mindset of a lot of people. I don't want to compete this hard. Competing this hard feels stressful. It doesn't feel right to bid $50,000 above ask. And I think it's a good thing to kind of like digest when analyzing it. I really like this neighborhood. I know exactly what the house I want to buy is. I'm going to stay here for 25 years. Am I not wanting to bid $525 on something that's listed $475 just because of how that makes me feel? Would I feel better if it was listed at $530 and I paid $525? I think for a lot of people it would. And I think that's something that people are really letting navigate and kind of control the offers. So that's my question to you. Sleep on that. And I'm not sure what part of the country you're in, but I would imagine, the 250 to 300 range, insanely competitive. You've got, tons of investors, perhaps, along with people who are buying homes as owner occupied properties. One thing to add to this conversation too is that We're talking about very little supply and high demand, and how the next couple of years we foresee more of the same. I literally think that over the next 2 years, it's not going to get better. It's just, it's not going to get worse. It might get a little bit better, but it's going to be a seller's market. There's going to be more demand than there is supply for the foreseeable future, 12, 24, maybe 36 months. And so on top of all of that, it's been made super clear that the current administration, I will not get political. I'm just talking about what's out there. I'm not picking sides or anything. I'm just talking about what is out there, has made it super, super clear. First-time home buyers, first-generation buyers, getting folks into homes who have historically had problems getting into homes. First-time home buyers, first-generation buyers, certain demographics. A humongous priority. Money will be thrown at that. Programs will come out. Whether it's the right time for those programs in this market or not, whether it's going to help or hurt the market, those programs will come. This administration has made it super clear. They've got the machine gun of stimulus, and it's coming. Same thing is coming with home buyer programs. Those home buyer programs create more demand. I don't care how you want to slice it. I ain't the sharpest tool in the shed, but home buyer programs and incentives to buy homes creates more demand. So that's gonna also exacerbate this problem. So that is my 2 cents, Mr. Kraler made. Hopefully that helped. The middle of Tennessee, and I know Tennessee, man, is friggin' tons of people. I just talked to a mortgage broker who's down the street from me. He's moving to Tennessee. My dad's friends moving to Tennessee. I know more people moving to Tennessee this year than I've historically in my whole 40 years of existence have known moving to Tennessee. So you're right, people moving to Tennessee. If you think that's going to slow down, if you think it's going to get better, maybe you wait. If you don't think it's going to get better, then maybe you pick up one of those 2.8% interest rates, and you pay 30 grand more than ask, even though it hurts inside. See, there you go. There you go, Phil. I'm glad you got the VA offer accepted. And really, when I looked at data for my market, like 4.8% of offers are being accepted VA, which historically it might have been 7 or 8. So VA stuff is still getting accepted, which is good to hear. For veterans who are eligible, the VA loan is amazing loan. 100% financing, no mortgage insurance. Rates are smoking hot, low 2s. So well-deserved VA benefit. Glad you could use it. Glad you get the great loan. Props to you for getting an offer accepted. That's like winning the loteria. Oh man, see that's where I am all for being an investor myself. Every Wednesday, I talk with Mike Zuber. His channel is One Rental at a Time, and we talk about mortgages, we talk about real estate investing, we talk about everything. And this is a place where I think that you can change this whole dynamic by making it more expensive and harder on investors. Whereas an investor myself, it's like weird. Like, why would you want to make it harder on yourself? Well, maybe a little bit harder is necessary. If I scroll back up to somebody who asked me about the 7% investor stuff going away, they're probably throwing something at their screen right now, being like, Matt, you turned on us. Thought you're on our side, investors. I love investing in real estate. Real estate's amazing. Folks who are having a really hard time. See, this is tough though, right? It's a cash investor. Even if you made loans harder, this guy would still be there. So I don't know the answer to that. It's just tough, man. Here's the answer. I talked about it in another video. The answer to this: if you want to make it easier for first-time home buyers, for owner-occupied buyers, listen up, government. You offer incentives to the sellers. If you sell your home to somebody who's going to own or occupy it, you get a $15,000 tax credit. If you sell your home and you're going to incur capital gains, you can waive your capital gains by selling it to an owner-occupied buyer. If you want to increase home ownership for Black, Latino, there's 4 demographics they targeted: Black, Latino, Native American, and Asian. Those are the 4 in that bill, right? Like, we want to increase home ownership because those folks' home ownership levels are low, and we want to get those higher. Sell to somebody with that demographic who's an owner occupant buyer, some sort of incentive to the seller. Then the seller's incentivized. Then Cradler Made, they're getting $3,000 more from a cash investor. But if they got a $15,000 tax incentive for selling to you instead of the cash investor, then you win. That's how we do it. You guys just got to nominate Matt the Mortgage Guy for something, Congress. Let me get in there. That's what I would do. I mean, and that's the thing. Like, all tax initiatives are basically just like steering folks to do what's going to help the economy as a whole. I mean, that's how you influence how people act, is you change tax codes and things, right? And so that's how you do it. All right, Becky, thanks for joining us. Appreciate you being here. Are most buyers stretching their loans? People are living above their means, I feel like. I mean, I don't think that this year I've seen anything like more drastic than I've ever seen in the past. I mean, 2015, 16, 17, 18, 19, I had some buyers that were like, what's the maximum I qualify for? They had a 660 credit score. They had a foreclosure 7 years ago or 4 years ago. They were buying with an FHA loan, and you know, their maximum was $645,000. They bought for $642,000. A payment that is 42% of their income that we could use. You know, with our other debts combined, it's 55, 56% debt to income ratio. People stretched like that in 2016, 17, 18, 19, 20, and in 2021. Then there's other people buy well below their means. And really, the buyers that are buying today, because of lending guidelines, you can't get very far beyond your means. You know, if your mortgage payment is more than 30 or 39% of your income, you won't qualify. If your mortgage payment plus all your debts is above 45, it's hard to qualify. If it's above 50, it's really hard to qualify. So the mortgage guidelines that are in place are making it very hard. And, you know, sure, there's still some people, it's like 3 borrowers on a loan to get into a house. You know, that might be stretching it. But I'm really not seeing it. You know, I think some of that is probably some hype, just like all the stuff I hear about, like, people are doing cash out refinances more than ever. They're pulling equity from their homes. They're going crazy. Today's numbers versus 07 or 05 through 08, way less cash out refi. And even better news, cash out refi in 05 and 06 was boat, jet ski, Vegas trips, irresponsible depreciating assets, debt that's coming today. Somebody does a cash out refi, they're investing in a business. They're investing in an investment property. They're investing in appreciating assets. So I don't know. Maybe all my clients are responsible people, and everybody who's not responsible is going elsewhere. Before I wrap this up, because I will probably wrap it up about the 2-hour mark, I just want to hear from as many people as possible whether or not 6 to 8 p.m. Pacific Standard Time is the jam, or if I should go back to 5. I used to start at 5 and go about 5 to 7. I put a poll out on YouTube, and almost half of the people, when I gave the options of 6, 5, 4, and 3, almost half said 6 o'clock. So people overwhelmingly were talking 6 o'clock. So if 6 o'clock is what's best for the people on here, just put it in the comments. Let me know. I'm happy to do it for whatever 2-hour window is going to be most accommodating for people to hop on, ask questions, back and forth. 6 to 8, Miguel. All right, I'm here for you. All right, 6 and perfect time now. Okay. Well, that's the feedback I got when I posted the poll. So I think that's the plan. I'm probably going to once every 6 weeks bring on a guest. I know people really enjoyed Ryan Lundquist, the appraiser I had on, so I'll bring him back on. And if there's any other guests that anybody wants to see, like, hey Matt, get on this person or get on that person, I'm happy to. But also just more past, future, present clients, real estate agents, junior loan officers, all the people that can just throw all these great questions. I appreciate everybody who joined. I think that, of the 30, 35 questions, however many we were able to jump into, a lot of stuff there that people can take away, and not just the person asking, but other people listening during the live stream, post live stream, forever and ever, because this thing will be posted on my channel. We'll get value from it. So I appreciate you. If you're outside of California and you're looking for a mortgage broker, greatmortgagebroker.com, a simple little 6-question survey, and literally it sends it straight. I set it up so that, without having to email me, hey Matt, I'm in Pennsylvania, who do you know? Hey Matt, I'm in Florida, who do you know? I did that, and it was exhausting, but I kept doing it because I'm like, I want to connect people with great brokers where they can be taken care of. I just set it up where you fill it out, you say Texas, boom, goes to Texas. Fill out, Pennsylvania, goes to Pennsylvania. And so greatmortgagebroker.com, connect with a great broker in whatever state you're in. And if you have any questions, feel free to, pop on a video on the channel. I've tried to answer every single question that's ever come across on every single video. It's getting overwhelming as, we creep up to 100 or 120,000 views a month on the channel, but I really enjoy it. I enjoy the back and forth, and I really enjoy this live stuff too. So thank you, Jason, for the kind words. Thanks for joining us. Real estate agents, I'll definitely grab some agents, Michelle. This is a good one, flashlight, an underwriter guest. I wonder if I can get an underwriter. Of course I can get an underwriter. I'm going to get an underwriter, and that's going to be a good one, because I think that I'm going to look for an underwriter who does conventional loans and who does self-employed loans and is really knowledgeable at that, because people have questions galore about that. So amazing idea. I'm going for it. All right. Thank you guys so much. I'm exhausted. I feel like I'm losing my voice. 2 straight hours. Wouldn't be possible without everybody joining. So thanks again. Hope to see you next week. Mondays at 6 p.m. Tell a friend. Bye-bye.